So it was a business decision first and foremost, and that's all there was to it. It's given me a lot more opportunity outside of the game of golf and giving me more time with my family and my future family.
It didn't arrive with a press conference or a dramatic announcement. No flashing lights, no bold headlines at first. But behind the scenes, LIV Golf just made a move that sent shockwaves through the entire sport. And at the center of it all stands one name that refuses to fade quietly into the background: Bryson DeChambeau. What looked like a routine policy update is now being called one of the most aggressive power plays modern golf has ever seen. And depending on what Bryson does next, it could determine how the global game evolves for the next decade. Here's the twist that changed everything.
Rich, in Bryson's last start, which was on the PGA Tour at the Memorial, he said, when he was asked if he is going to join the LIV Golf Series, he said it would be too much of a risk for him to join that series at this point in his career. Less than a week later, he announced that he has indeed joined LIV Golf. I caught up with Bryson today and I asked him what happened in that time period to turn what he called a risk.
Starting in 2026, every new LIV Golf signee will be required to compete in at least 2 international series events on the Asian Tour, on top of LIV's full 14-event schedule. No more staying comfortable. No more cherry-picking easy stops. If you take LIV's money, you're boarding planes to Oman, Qatar, Bangkok, and beyond. Officially, LIV leadership calls it global growth. Unofficially, many insiders see something else entirely: a strategic bridge to legitimacy, rankings, and long-term power. And standing quietly but confidently in the middle of this international shift is Bryson DeChambeau, a player who has gone from golf's biggest disruptor to something far more complicated.
Walking out of that car and raising the trophy, and it's truly for LIV. And what they've done for me, the chance they took on me, and the chance I took on you guys, and it's a mutually beneficial relationship that I think has just been awesome.
To some, he's LIV's unofficial global ambassador. To others, he's the ultimate symbol of golf's identity crisis. Bryson's recent appearances on the Asian Tour suddenly look very different in hindsight. Those stops in Oman and Qatar, once dismissed as one-off exhibitions, now they feel like early chess moves in a much larger game. Insiders say Bryson isn't just viewed as a player inside LIV anymore. He's a prototype, a model for what the league wants its next era to look like: global, outspoken, digital-first, and completely independent of traditional golf power structures. That matters, especially when you consider this detail. Bryson's original LIV contract, reportedly worth around $150 million when he signed in 2022, is set to expire in late 2025. Rumors have swirled for months that he's been seeking an extension closer to $280 million. But sources now claim LIV's priorities are changing. The era of blank check sign-on bonuses may be fading. The new focus? Legacy, influence, and long-term leverage in the sport. Bryson's negotiations, according to insiders, are being watched closely inside LIV headquarters. Not just as a contract renewal, but as a test case. Is LIV still about buying star power, or is it about building something that can survive without validation from golf's old guard? That question ties directly into another layer of this story: world rankings. Since its inception, LIV Golf has pushed relentlessly for access to official world golf ranking points. And by aligning more closely with the Asian Tour, analysts believe LIV may have found a workaround, a new path forward. If it works, it could dramatically reshape careers, including Bryson's, by reopening doors that were once firmly shut. Ironically, Bryson knows better than most how fast those doors can close. Rewind to June 2022. At the time, he was still seen as one of American golf's brightest stars. A US Open champion. A walking science experiment who blended physics, muscle, and obsession into something golf had never quite seen before. Then came the announcement that stunned the sport. Bryson was leaving the PGA Tour for LIV Golf. The backlash was immediate and unforgiving. Sponsors disappeared. The PGA Tour suspended him. Fellow players publicly questioned his priorities. Media coverage exploded, framing his decision as everything from greed to betrayal. Rory McIlroy and others openly criticized LIV's motives, while Bryson defended his choice as a belief in global growth and innovation. Crowds turned hostile. Every appearance became a referendum on his career. But Bryson didn't retreat. He leaned into it. Inside LIV, he found something he hadn't had in years: freedom. No cuts, fewer restrictions, big stages built for entertainment. He started winning again. He started experimenting again. And perhaps most importantly, he started telling his own story. His YouTube channel exploded with long drive challenges, behind-the-scenes access, and moments that humanized a player once labeled robotic and cold. By 2025, the narrative had shifted. The anger cooled. His Crushers GC team became one of LIV's most followed squads. Bryson himself began sounding like someone who had finally found balance, both professionally and personally. But the doubts never fully disappeared. As tensions between LIV and the PGA escalated into lawsuits and antitrust accusations, Bryson became more than a golfer. He became a symbol, named in legal filings, quoted in headlines that read more like business news than sports coverage. When the 2023 Framework Agreement promised peace between the tours, but delivered confusion instead, players like Bryson were left stuck in limbo, performing at a high level while still shut out of PGA-sanctioned events. The consequences became painfully clear in 2025. Despite qualifying on merit, Bryson was reportedly barred from participating in key PGA events tied to national team selection. Even Ryder Cup-related warm-ups became political minefields. U.S. Captain Keegan Bradley admitted the situation was awkward, a word that barely scratched the surface. Bryson's response wasn't angry, it was exhausted. "If they don't want to come together, that's on them," he said, sounding less like a rebel and more like someone tired of fighting the same battle. The rivalry spilled online. PGA loyalists mocked LIV's 54-hole format. Bryson fired back with humor, joking about being excluded from creator events despite his massive digital reach. Memes flew. Fans picked sides. And through it all, Bryson stayed visible, competitive, and impossible to ignore. Then came the moment that perfectly captured his role in modern golf. Barred from competing, Bryson still showed up. He attended team dinners, greeted former teammates, supported from the sidelines on his home course. Cameras caught him smiling, unbothered, standing just outside the action. To many, it was symbolic. LIV's biggest American star literally present, yet officially excluded. Not everyone opposed him. Quiet support reportedly came from players across both tours, including major champions who felt the system, not Bryson, was the problem. One comment summed it up best: "He's done everything right. The system hasn't." Meanwhile, the scrutiny never stopped. When a prominent commentator accused Bryson of carrying the baggage of sports washing, Bryson responded with humor, tweeting that if he was carrying baggage, it was full of trophies. The post went viral. But later, he admitted the constant attention can be draining. "Sometimes you just want to play golf," he said. Still, he understands the modern game better than most. Attention is currency. Controversy is fuel. Bryson has mastered both. At LIV events, the atmosphere feels less like traditional golf and more like a concert. Music, energy, hecklers, cheers. And Bryson thrives in it. One viral moment from the UK captured him smiling at a heckler mid-putt before calmly draining it. The clip spread everywhere, turning him into both meme and message. This is who he is now. No longer trying to fit into golf's old mold, Bryson has fully embraced his role as provocateur, influencer, and competitor. His critics still watch, his fans grow louder, and his brand only expands. As his contract nears renewal and LIV's 2026 global expansion approaches, Bryson finds himself in a position few athletes ever reach. No longer an outcast, no longer just a defector, but a builder. A face of something new. LIV's International Series requirement isn't just a rule, it's a declaration. The league isn't waiting for approval anymore, it's building its own ecosystem. And Bryson DeChambeau stands right at the center of that transformation. Whether people love him or hate him, one thing is undeniable. Golf isn't quiet anymore. It's louder, bolder, and global. And Bryson didn't just survive the sport's biggest controversy. He turned it into his platform. Golf will never be the same again.